before we get started, there's always a little bit of an agenda, so we'd like to go ahead and get started right now. As we do with every general membership meeting, we wanted to welcome everybody. My name is Catherine Castro, by the way, just in case you didn't know. And usually the chairman of the board opens the meeting, but today he's our guest speaker. So I have the privilege of opening the meeting today. We'd like to welcome any special guests that anybody has at their table. Would anybody have any special guests to introduce today?
We do.
All right, okay, excellent.
A good friend of everybody, Congressman Jim Moylan.
Congressman Jim Moylan, very welcome.
And his sidekick, another sandbagger,
Nestor Licanto, welcome. Yes, Kim. Guam Women's Chamber, welcome. Yes, sir. JWS ICANN, welcome. Miracle. Jovina, welcome. GTTA as well, welcome. Any other guests? Yes, sir. Not yet, not yet.
If you don't know who I am, I just wanted to introduce a young man who I've known since he was this small, and stand up so you can tell how much his name is Dennis Balthazar. I'm not too sure if you've read his article, but he's been coming out at such a young age and really questioning and having hard discussions of what's happening with the government, what's happening in schools at such a young age. So I wanted to invite him here, eventually help join GYP, and then also help us with this voter initiative. So let's please welcome him.
Introduce my good friend Aaron Hodge. He owns Telstar Services, and he's been a member for 3 years, but this is his very first time ever coming to a meeting.
Oh my gosh, welcome!
And I dragged him here today.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome.
Yeah, I just have one more guest.
Yes, sir.
We just hired Chris Holland, came on out as Chief Operating Officer, because I couldn't get Ed away, I couldn't see a mark, so we have Chris. And
All right.
He did a really good job. Everybody,
Fantastic.
Chris Holland.
Welcome. Thank you, sir. Any other new guests or guests that anybody would like to introduce today? Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for being here. We'd also like to introduce our new members. We're super excited. At every general membership meeting, we're just always excited to introduce our new members. And I really encourage all of our members to show some love to the new folks that come in, as we all do, to help support each other, especially in these challenging economic times. So the first new member that I would like to introduce, the company is called Roadside Heroes, and today is represented by Jonathan Diego, the owner. Would Jonathan and his team from Roadside Heroes please stand up? All right, fantastic. Welcome to the chamber. So just in case you don't know what Roadside Heroes is, this company offers roadside emergency services, assistance, vehicle recovery, and home recovery. So anybody needs any of those services, make sure you contact Roadside Heroes. Excellent, thank you very much for being here. Another new member that we're super excited about, her name is Jane Kang. She's the owner, and her company is called Filth Detailing. Everybody can say hello and welcome to Jane Kang. So that is a pretty interesting name, and she's got some pretty interesting detailing packages, but I won't tell you what they are. You've got to meet her to find out. So certainly, Filth Detailing is a professional automotive detailing company specializing in interior and exterior vehicle detailing, paint correction, ceramic coating, and odor removal. They serve individual, commercial, and government clients, providing high-quality vehicle appearance, restoration, and maintenance services with a focus on exceptional customer service and long-term vehicle preservation. So again, welcome, Ms. Kang. All right, So we've got a couple of announcements before we get to the main events. So I'd like to call our past chairman of the board and chairman of the Gala Planning Committee, Mr. Ernie Galito, to talk about our upcoming events.
Hafade Toda Hanzu, everybody. This year, the Guam Chamber of Commerce celebrates its 102nd anniversary. And we are making that milestone, and we're marking that milestone with another historic anniversary, which is America's 250th anniversary. On September 12th, we want to bring those two occasions together for an evening that commemorates our history, celebrates the people and businesses that have helped build our community, and just as importantly, give us all an opportunity to enjoy being together. This will not be your typical chamber dinner. From the moment you arrive at the Dusatani, you can expect cocktails and conversation, a beautiful ballroom experience, dinner, entertainment, recognition of some of our longtime chamber members, and when the formal program concludes, the celebration continues with our after parties. We also want to recognize the generous sponsors who are helping make this much more than an anniversary dinner. The support allows us to create an evening that is a part commemoration, part celebration, and definitely a party. So rather than tell you more about what it is, let me give you a little preview of what you can expect on September 11th. Your attention, please. So we hope everybody has already purchased your tickets. We're up to close to 300, so we have another 50 seats available. Please make your reservations today. Well, so we don't want to turn anybody down. But once again, I want to mention of our generous sponsors, which include Addis Trust and Investment, Bank of Guam, Bank of Hawaii, Citizen Pacific, Coast 360, Federal Credit Union, Coca-Cola Foremost, Federal Express, First Hawaiian Bank, Marianas Energy Company, PHR, Ken Micronesia Inc., Sanford Technology Group, South Pacific Petroleum, Triple J Enterprises, and Vantage Advertising. Thank you, everybody. Thank the sponsors. We'll see you there, September 12th.
I'm just telling you, don't want to miss out, okay? I have to say that in my exuberance to get the party started, I forgot my one new member, and I apologize. I would love to be able to introduce to you the New Collective, Inc., and today is represented by Ms. Candice Munya, President and Executive Director. Everybody say hello, and welcome to Candice Munya. So we are very excited to have you. They're an associate member, so please, if you have an opportunity after today's meeting, say hello to all of our new members today. Thank you. All right, I'd like to bring to the podium Mr. Phil Santos, the official Commodore of the Guam Chamber of Commerce, to talk to us about the salute to the U.S. Armed Forces.
Thank you, Catherine. Hapa day, everybody. You know, the chairman and Catherine, they love to call me the Commodore, and if that's the case, you know, Ed Camacho, you're promoted now to seaman. And you have to report to me, Ed, because it's the maritime law. I'm here to announce the Armed Forces Salute. So if you weren't partied enough from the Chamber Gala, 5 days later, we're going to have the Armed Forces Salute, which is on September 17th, which is Thursday, from 5:30 p.m. till whenever. It says 7:30 p.m., but you know we can. You know, this is a party group, and it's going to be at the Dusatani Beach Resort, Guam, which is the old outrigger. So, Ed, please go to that side, not to the other side. And so every year, you know, I'm very happy that Liz Duenas and Kim Anderson have taken on the role to put this party together, and it's very exciting. They've done a lot of work up to now. We've got over 25 sponsorships, 35, excuse me. It's merely $1,000. There's still room to come in and promote this. You know, we basically invite the military members to join us. Companies, as yourself, will be able to bring in 6 people, and your sponsorship will cover 4 military members. It's a good time to mix with the community. In the past, we've always enjoyed that. There'll be raffles for the military members. We encourage you to come out. Again, it's $1,000 pledge to your company, or if you just want to come and enjoy it, it's $80 a person. So really appreciate your attention to that. See Liz or myself or Ken or the staff if you're interested in doing that. And one last thing, if you're not an AFC member, we have sign-up sheets up at the desk to join us or come see me. Thank you very much.
Our last announcement today is for the Guam Young Professionals. I'd like to call the chairman of the Guam Young Professionals, who's also our vice chairman of the board, Mr. Marcus Fong.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll keep this short. I know you're here for the main event, which is Chairman Ed. But GYP does have a mixer that's happening tomorrow, a networking mixer at the Dumont Sands Plaza, so please join and support. And then I think further out ahead, which you'll hear some about today, is that in October they're going to be doing 2 senatorial forums, one for the Democratic side and one for the Republican side on October 1st and October 8th. So please join and please participate in that. I think you're going to hear a lot from the young professionals. They've been working very, very hard to get the young votes out, and they've got a lot to say, so please participate in that and support them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And of course, everything that we have talked about here is in your newsletters, so please read your newsletters on the weekends. And I'd like to introduce our Vice President of the Chamber, Mr. Phil Leddy.
Awesome. As Marcus mentioned, we're all here for the main event, but no UFC card is successful without our prelims. And representing our prelims, we are pleased to present today's speaker lineup. They will begin with the Guam Young Professionals, They are a committee of the Guam Chamber of Commerce, and today they are represented by Hillary Ekbaji, a Be Influential Chair, who is with Foremost Foods and Coca-Cola Beverage Company. She will be joined by Ione Lagos, who is with GTA, and is also a Be Influential Committee member. The GYP recognizes the economic and social importance of engaging our emerging talent in all issues and opportunities impacting our island community. So please join me in welcoming Hillary and Ione to the podium.
Hafa everyone. My name is Hillary Ekbaji and I serve as the chair of the Guam Young Professionals Be Influential Subcommittee. Today we'd like to focus on voter presentation, especially amongst young professionals ages 18 to 38. When people think about elections, they often focus on candidates. At GYP, we're focused on the voters, especially our next generation of leaders, passionate professionals, business owners, and decision makers. The reality is simple. Our future is shaped by those who show up. And why does this matter? Young professionals, particularly those between 18 to 38, often face barriers of voting. Their vote doesn't matter. One vote will not change the outcome. They don't know enough about the candidates. And politics do not affect their daily lives. But public policy impacts nearly everything young professionals care about. Housing affordability, cost of living, job opportunities, education, infrastructure, healthcare, and economic growth. These are not abstract political issues. They're life issues, and young voters care deeply about them. It's also worth noting that this group has the most at stake. Today's young professionals will be the ones living with the long-term consequences of the decisions made now. If elected leaders do not plan ahead for sustainable prosperity while resources are available, this generation could be forced into crisis management mode later. An additional 1,000 voters can make a meaningful difference in turnout and potentially influence the outcome. Millennials and Gen Z represent a key voting bloc that candidates should not overlook.
Thanks, Hills. And we know that as business and community leaders, right, a lot of this is just words, right? So we want to pair it with some data. Next slide, please. So this is where the data becomes especially important for everyone in this room and also those that we encounter on a daily basis. In 2024, I know it's a little dated, but we see in the news, we're still experiencing a very low voter turnout. In 2024, there were 23,571 registered voters, ages 18 to 38, but only 6,798 participated, a low turnout rate of 28.8%. So where are all the 16,700 people at? Compare that with voters ages 39 and older, 61% participated. That creates that highlight in the bottom of the slide, 32.2% point participation gap between the two groups. Again, to put that into perspective, 16,773 registered young voters did not participate in the 2024 election. That's 71% of registered voters in the 18 to 38 bracket. Next slide, please. So what are we going to do about it? As young professionals and a part of GYP, we're going to meet the young professionals where they are. And we're using this data to drive three approaches using first social media, and that's where we see everyone online today, right? Everyone's on social media, watching videos, and being able to connect with others through that platform. Secondly, we're gonna also participate in radio interviews, and we know that our generation, 18 to 39, don't really listen to the radio as much, but we encourage you to do so. To pair the radio interviews with just listening to the radio, we also want to engage in broadcasting that live. And lastly, we want to be able to provide voter education through our initiatives here. So we're going to remain nonpartisan, and we're going to be able to provide education on candidates, and provide the voter community within that age bracket more connected opportunities to do so. I'll pass it over to Hill to talk about our forum next.
So with that all said, this is why the GYP is hosting the You Decide Senatorial Forum series. The forums are designed to help our attendees understand candidate platforms, learn where candidates stand on key issues, ask informed questions, compare and identify priorities, make educational voting decisions. Following the forum, we will also host a mixer where our attendees can engage directly with the senatorial candidates in a more conversational setting. This will give our young professionals the additional opportunity to ask questions, discuss the issues that matter to them, and connect with the candidates beyond the formal forum program. Most importantly, we're creating a space where young professionals can participate in the conversation, not through headlines and social media posts, but hearing directly from the people seeking to represent them. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. Many young people believe their voice does not matter. At GYP, we're working on changing that. Because every voter matters, every question matters, every conversation and every vote matters. We invite the community and the business leaders to encourage their teams to join us at the GYP You Decide Senatorial Forum this October. To learn more about the candidates, engage in the discussions, and help shape Guam's future through informed participation. In 2024, 16,773 registered voters ages 18 to 38 did not participate. Reaching even a portion of these voters could bring thousands of additional young voices into the decision shaping Guam's future. The power has always been there. Our job is to help them realize it. Thank you.
Excellent job, ladies. Let's give another hand for GYP and all the effort that they're putting in to increase voter turnout within their demographic. And that's like one of the things that we really want to advocate for and encourage all of our member companies is every one of your companies employ that demographic. You guys have a big chunk of your employees that are in that demographic. And through many of the things that our chairman will speak on, including the brochures that you see on your table side, it takes about a 5 to 10 minute amount of effort. Scan the QR code, shoot them to our page, and implore them to research more about their voice, because their voice is their power, and nothing's more powerful than an educated voter. And with that said, on to the main event. Since no one knows who he is, let me read his long bio. Our next speaker is our very own chairman of the board, Ed Antalan. He is a seasoned, oh, he said that's good. Who do I listen to? Sorry, overruled, sir. He's a seasoned financial executive with more than 39 years of experience in Guam's banking and public finance sectors, and currently serves as the Executive Vice President and Guam CNMI Regional Manager for First Hawaiian Bank. In his role, he oversees all branch operations, including Guam and the CNMI, including commercial and consumer banking, regional business development, and the Mighty Banking Center, where he previously led as Senior Vice President and Center Manager. Chapter 2. He began his career at the Bank of Guam, progressing through key positions including Marketing Officer, Retail Mortgage Banking Center Manager, General Auditor, Chief Financial Officer, and Vice President Manager. It's a lot of ink. Vice President Manager of the San Francisco branch, while also serving as the bank's board of directors. Antalan also joined the Guam Economic Development Authority, where he managed all municipal finance issues for the government of Guam and ultimately served as an administrator and member of the governor's cabinet. He additionally serves in many civic organizations. But today, he is here as our chairman. Members and guests, please join me in welcoming Chairman Ed Antalan.
That definitely wasn't part of my script, but that's okay. I just want to say, Hillary, Oni, thank you. It's a very exciting, and I think today is very important for everyone. But so let me begin, by saying, of course, good afternoon to everyone. And Catherine asked me to speak. Wait, no, I asked Catherine to speak, so there's a little bit of a difference. But I just want to warn everyone, when I have 13 slides to cover, I talk like as if there's 66 slides, so please bear with me. And I took an energy drink, so I'll be awake. I don't know about you guys. But anyway, let's begin here, all right? Over the past number of weeks, we have put out some op-eds, we've had a lot of interviews, and we've talked about a number of things, focusing on the economy, about Guam's future, about accountability, about transparency. So today, I want to kind of connect everything, because today is an official launch of which I will talk about. Prosperity is just not another slogan for us, and it is not a campaign for any candidate. It's what we believe, a Guam-wide effort focused on something I believe we all want. What is that? Good jobs, affordable living, strong families, and a government that delivers measurable results. In other words, we want an island that we call home with a great quality of life. I don't think anyone in this room will dispute that. Our approach is going to be very simple. Understand the issues, ask better questions, publish completed answers, and then let the voters decide for themselves. The ultimate question we all need to ask, including everyone who will be listening or whatnot, is where do you want to see Guam be in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years? And this is very important because this is a pivotal election. Next page, please. So, during the budget hearings, we were involved in trying to keep certain things and make sure that the budget made a lot of sense. And of course, we know the history a little bit. It was vetoed, and we weren't able to get an override, but that's fine. But they just recently passed a budget of 13-2 vote, and right now it's sitting at the governor's desk for execution. But the thing that we have to focus in on is that with constructive engagement, we can actually move public policy forward. So the biggest challenge that or the biggest objective is that we wanted to fight and make sure that the 4% stayed. But this is not a victory lap for any one of us. It's evidence that a broad agreement is possible when people stay focused on outcomes. And that's the thing that we have been talking about jobs, about what's happening in the economy, etc. So for today's presentation, the larger lesson is really that we can advocate firmly, that we can work across differences and still make progress, because we've got a long road ahead of us. So this Project Prosperity applies that same approach to the issues that will shape Guam after the current boom. That's all we've been hearing. The construction boom is going to end, the construction boom is going to end. But what's happened? We want to look focusing on jobs, household affordability, reliable services, workforce capacity, rebuild tourism industry, but more importantly, measure accountability. Next slide, please. This is something very interesting because I saw a headline once that said, oh, look how many jobs have been created. But what we discovered was that behind this headline hides a big gap, 4,580 job gap. So if you look at that total very closely, there are 2,510 private jobs, 7,090 construction jobs. But what that showed over the numbers is that the private sector actually lost about 4,580 jobs outside of construction. And let me give you some information, because we were very careful in not trying to provide data that we could have justified. So we looked at the Bureau of Labor and Statistics information from 2019 to the present, to March 2026. And that showed that private sector jobs actually rose from 50,500 to like 53,000. Approximately an increase of 2,500 jobs, and we're like, ooh, wow, that's great. But then when you jump into it very closely, construction alone rose from 6,200 to 13,290. That's an increase of about 7,000 jobs, or about 114% from 2019 to March of 2026. Outside of construction, and this is the important thing that we have to understand, is that private payroll jobs fell from 44,300 to 39,720. That means we have 4,580 fewer jobs in the private sector, outside of construction, that we've seen this decline from 2019 to the present. And this weakness isn't just one sector, it's a very broad sector. Services are down about 1,900 jobs. Retail is down about 1,300 jobs. Transportation utilities are down 960 jobs. Finance and insurance down 250. Wholesale trade is down 160. And within the hotel and lodging, we're talking about probably about 1,600 jobs. So what we are trying to present is that we have a serious situation ahead of us. We have a fledgling private sector, albeit that it is clouded and by the success of the construction side. Now, there's a conclusion that we need to draw, that the construction growth is not bad. In fact, we're very grateful it's here. What the conclusion is that Guam's broader civilian economy has not fully recovered, and we've got a long road ahead. And today's activity, everything that we're doing here, from the chamber to other things we're going to be discussing, must be converted into lasting local skills, industries, and careers. I was in Saipan just the other week, and talking to this one business person, and he was laughing at me. And he goes, "Oh man, you guys don't know what you have in Guam. You guys are 4.5 times larger in population, but your budget is 15 times larger than ours." And this is in Saipan. Saipan went from about 50,000 people down to 40,000 people. Now I hear it's down to 35,000 people. They have a per capita basis. They went from $120 million budget down to 98 million. They have a per capita budget spend about $2,800 a person, whereas here in Guam we have $9,375 a person. And that's why we have to say, what are we getting for our dollar? Other signs that's showing there's some weaknesses is that, of course, we hear about tourism arrivals. We hear about the building permits, a very sore spot. I understand that year to date we're supposed to be about 400 applications supposedly approved, which is down from 600, and the indication there is that there's a systemic problem that nobody wants to build or apply for any type of business. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that, I don't know if Siska is here. Siska, there she goes. She sent me a note. She goes, "If you don't say it and throw my name out, I'm never going to talk to you again." So anyhow, she tried to send me a message. She said for the last 27 years she's been tracking transactions, and prior to 2026, from 1999, she used to see 1,000, almost 1,900 transactions annually, with an average of about 106 transactions per month. Am I correct, Siska, roughly? But today we're down to 62 to 99 at the high. That means housing transactions is very low. That's a sign. So it's like, you're driving a car. Well, your gas tank is full, because that's what we see with construction, etc. But your engine light's on. And that's, I think, where we are right now. Our engine light is on, and we must take action. Next slide. This is important because I'm going to be able to kind of tie it in within the next two slides. The large employers really carry payroll that is hard to replace, all right? And again, I had to tie something in that I can justify. So we use the 2022 economic census, so to give us a factual way to discuss employer scale. So back based on this economic census, it had mentioned that there's about 3,412 establishments on Guam. Of that 312, 586 had 20 or more employees. That is about 17.17%, but if you're like Mark Taquito, he likes to round up, so it's 17.2%, okay? But so what does that mean? The large employers or establishments, there's 586 with 20 or more employees. We account for 17.2% of all the establishments on this island. but more importantly, the payroll that we generate, that these businesses, all of you in here that generate, is approximately 75.3% of the payroll. That says a lot. So in the 586 establishments, the census had mentioned total annual payroll for small and large was approximately about 1.8 billion in 2022. The 586 represented 1.33 billion. Again, that's significant, and I'll tie all this in. So I think that I had a little bit of a thing up there. What does that mean? So what happens when a larger establishment contracts or closes? It's significant. Let's come up with an example. Duty free, right? The most obvious. That's 300 jobs that were lost. And we're estimating based upon what, Francine told me that they had so many people prior to her coming to me asking for a job. Anyhow. So, if we try to do some sort of number crunching to look at a employee, how many, here, let me rephrase this. How many small businesses will it take to make up the loss of a large company like Duty Free? And if we use an average based upon, let's say, 6 employees per establishment of these 20 employees or less, it's going to roughly take 50 small businesses of 6 employees or less to be able to make up 300 jobs. And there's a message here. Losing one 300 job employer is extremely tough. But what does that mean? And I'm going to really tie it all together. Okay, next slide. So, we often talk about business policy as though it affects a separate group called businesses, right? And you hear it whenever you listen to the legislature and the debates. They always try to separate small to large, etc. And there's no separation. There is no separation that exists. Every business is made up of people. Every business wants to grow, take care of their people. I have yet to hear anyone say otherwise, and all of you can tell me if I'm wrong, that they're in the business to make themselves rich, to enrich themselves. Everyone starts a small business, has a dream, has a vision, and they want to be able to see it grow. So what we have is that all these businesses, it's a job, it's a paycheck. That what does it do? Help pay for housing, for power, for groceries, for a car, for health care. Also, a good job is also a career, a chance to gain skills, advance and build a life on Guam. And that stability strengthens a family. And what does that family do? It spends locally, pays taxes, it volunteers, it serves and contributes and invests back into the community. That's why it is very important to understand and really for all our future leaders that every major business policy debate on the legislative floor or even as the potential new gubernatorial candidates come aboard, the debate is ultimately a jobs and household debate. Everything, that 4% affects all our jobs. The increase in taxes affects all our jobs, our STEM. So the question is not only how a rule affects an owner, because they focus in on that. It is how the rule changes the ability to hire, to train, to retain, to invest, and more importantly, to serve customers. This is the practical question. And this is for the message that the Chamber has been trying to promote and really speak out, that every economic policy reaches people through paychecks, careers, families, and community life. Next slide, please. And this is something that I really want to touch on, okay? But let me be direct about this, because it says, do not villainize the jobs and families behind businesses, because I've heard it all the time whenever there's on the legislative floor about, oh, the big businesses, oh, they're greedy, etc. But let me be direct. We, the Guam business community, should never be beyond scrutiny. Businesses should compete fairly, follow the law, treat employees well, and contribute back to the community, of which I know all of you do. I see it all the time, coming to the galas, etc., to be able to give back to the Red Cross whenever there's a national disaster and we're called upon. The private sector, the business community always responds. But it is also wrong to reduce employers, all of us, to a political label. Greedy businesses, big businesses are an enemy of working people. It is just absolutely wrong. And the data that I just showed you shows why this is a false divide. No, don't get me wrong. Small business establishments dominate the count. Absolutely. But establishments with 20 or more employees carry 75% of the payroll. It's significant. So I also gave you that job. Using 300 jobs as an illustrative example. 50. We'd have to create 50 small businesses. So scale matters when an anchor employer contracts or even closes. And we've been hearing a lot about the different closures, etc. And I don't know why it hasn't raised an alarm, but that's why we have this initiative, because we want to be able to elevate that. The private sector is how good jobs are created. Jobs, families, and Guam's future are why a strong private sector matters. And as one of my mentors has pounded into me, the late Senator Paul Berdavio, it's about jobs. And that's what we're saying. It's about jobs. Without a thriving community, we don't have jobs for our young ones to stay, for like Genesis to be able to find a career out here. Small establishments, growing establishments, anchor establishments, they all matter. So I encourage all our political leaders or whatnot to stop villainizing the business community, because we are what keeps everyone here employed, and we are searching. I wasn't expecting that, but who clapped? I just wanted Well, thank you. Next page. All right, now this is something important, right? We have 12 partner associations that have joined us, and I'm going to explain why they've joined us, because it's not a chamber of commerce thing. It's about an island thing. It's about economy thing. So I put this up there because why? And I of course, where's Senator Mambini? Because he told me to use AI for something and I did. So anyhow, I really wanted to find out how many businesses were in these 12 organizations. And I will mention their organizations in a bit. But these 12 organizations, it is important that we come together, because it's no longer a chamber conversation, and we have to understand that. We're all participating. And who are they? We've got Gura, not Gura, who? Okay. Well, they have a lot of money. I know. I'm going to call her up here pretty soon, but anyway. No. Sorry about that. GHRA, GTTA, this is what happens when you turn 65. Guam Restaurant Collective, the JGTA, the KGTA, the American Culinary Federation, the Chinese Chamber, the Guam Women's Chamber, the Guam Association of Realtors, the Guam Contractors Association. And if I forgot anybody, please forgive me, but we also understand Sherm has joined us and joined the board. So what does this mean? I actually did some search and tried to look at the public directories and find an actual count of how many establishments are within these organizations. And it started to do an analysis, etc. But of course, a number of organizations also overlap. So it came up with a number. It said, best guess roughly, to try to assume, we represent everyone in this these 12 organizations roughly represent about 750 to 900 establishments. And that means a lot. So I said, well, how many jobs does this create? It was all about 40,000 jobs minimum, all right? And this is the breadth of reach estimate. This, we're just trying to look at something. It doesn't mean everyone endorses this Project Prosperity. And it doesn't mean that the coalition, what we put together, speaks of how everyone should vote, because we're trying to stay away from that. But what it means is that based on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, total payroll jobs as of March 2026 is about 53,000. This rule represents over 40,000 jobs. And that's why every public policy decision has to include how it affects our jobs, and that's very important. Next slide. Catherine told me to keep it short, but she has the kill switch, so I don't know what will happen if I can go beyond my time. All right, next slide, please. All right, this is very simple here. What is this Project Prosperity that we're talking about? So, this started off as a strategic plan. The Chambers have had a strategic plan for some time now. And we've always been looking at a one-year plan. And so we decided, let's look at something beyond that. How about a 5-year plan? Because it's going to take us time to be able to make changes. And we have to understand, if you want to make change in the government of Guam, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. But it's all the political will, but it's also driven by the voices and the votes that we are able to turn out. So we started this Project Prosperity, in which our Vice Chairman Marcus Fung is going to help lead this. And it's a 5-year plan. But the general question that I began my speech with is we asked ourselves, well, where do we want to see Guam in 5 years? I asked you, where do you want to see Guam in 5 years? So this evolved into Project Prosperity. And then it's very simple. It organizes the conversation around 5 priorities. And I don't think anybody, and just because it's coming from the Chamber, and we had all of the other associations look at it, it's not very Chamber of Guam specific. It's island specific. And so I think our partners, of course, they'll have their own strategic plans, etc. But I think these 5 priorities are what everyone can agree with here. So let's start with it. What's the first priority? And as we set these things out, it's going to drive the conversations that you're going to have with the candidates, etc. The first priority is good jobs and a strong civilian economy. That's what we've been asking for. That's what we need to focus. The second priority is a government that delivers dependable services and measurable value. That's what we've been asking for, transparency, accountability. Again, we should be asking ourselves, what are we getting for $9,400 we pay every year to keep our government services? Third, prosperity beyond the buildup. We know it's going to come. We know we hear it. What concerns me is that with the changes in the geopolitical dynamics in this region, things may be shifting away. And, we've seen how the military can turn things off as quickly as they can turn it on. Well, I don't know if they're quick, but they can turn it off. So we want to turn prosperity beyond, we want to look at prosperity beyond the buildup, turning today's activity into lasting capacity. Why? Oh, rebuilding tourism and other export type of industries. Because we're talking about industries, we need to diversify. Absolutely. Fourth priority, we want affordable living and strong families. This includes addressing homelessness, drugs, crime, clean streets, etc. I think you can rattle off a lot more of a longer list than I can. And fifth, investment in Guam's future through education, workforce development, infrastructure, health, and public safety. We've been reading a lot about education. It disheartens me. And I look at a young man like Genesis, and he's trying to build his education and the struggles he went through. And now all the students. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but all I'm saying is that we got to acknowledge reality and we got to act on it. So this Project Prosperity, where there's no preferred answer sheet or a candidate scorecard, we've been asked about that. We were very careful in the Chamber because we've been accused of leaning towards one side of a platform or a party, where We are very apolitical. What we just want to see is a Guam that thrives, a Guam that has jobs, a Guam that has people visiting, a beautiful island that we call home. So Project Prosperity organizes this conversation around these 5 priorities. And this is where we envision Guam could be. This is where we want Guam to evolve to. Again, where do you want to see Guam become? And that's the conversation we need to have with everyone. Your friends, your families, your coworkers, especially the thousands of the young people that have not come out to vote, because I'm in that bracket that they were kind enough to show the Superman Uncle bracket. But, eventually, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. Well, I'll still vote. We want an island where we want to have jobs. I just became a grandfather. I want my kids to grow up here. I want my grandchildren to grow up here. But we want something that we can say this is Guam. So they identify the subjects that deserve serious, practical answers. And what we will ask simple things. What will change? And this is what you got to ask. We've heard a lot of promises. We've heard a lot of plans. We have enough promises and plans, shelves and shelves of plans. Now we need to see performance. What will change? Who is responsible? What will it cost? When will it happen? And how will the public know whether it worked? Okay, next slide. All right, I've got 5 minutes, Kat. Where's Kat? She's got the bell. 5 minutes, okay. I'll speak pretty slow. Okay, anyhow. So I said we want to put every promise to the same hard test. And this is the accountability test that we have. For every major promise or proposal, we have to ask the same questions. What will exactly change? You've been talking about, I want to improve education, I want to improve healthcare. What's going to change? What is true now that you're presenting me? What will it cost? And what pays for it? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to be responsible and what happens and by when? How will you measure this progress? And if it falls short, who will be accountable? And these are the questions that we have to have our elected leaders answer. And we have to hold them accountable. We're not asking candidates to agree with us. We're asking them to be specific enough that voters can compare approaches and later measure performance. Specific answers let voters compare approaches, again, measure performance. Very important. Next, early voting. Early voting is Guam's best turnout opportunity because we've seen it already and we know, the election day is on a Tuesday. It's tough to be able to get out and vote. You got to go to your precinct. Early voting drives everybody to one location. So what's happening? The public-facing work begins today with all of us, with the Choro organizations, with everyone in this room. And it's very important that we take advantage of the early voting because it's going to be a challenge after that. So the schedule is very simple. Now it's important that we also note that GYP's You Decide forums are on October 1st and October 8th. And this is the young professionals wanting to hear from our senatorial candidates. And I encourage a lot of our senatorial candidates to attend because sometimes I hear the attendance is a little bit low. But if they know we're asking, they know we want answers, then they will turn out. Again, for many working people, reporting to an assigned precinct on a workday really is a challenge. So October 8th is our forum, and October 8th, between October 8th and October 28th, this is our strongest period where we can push. The GYP said 1,000 people, they want 1,000 young voters. I am very optimistic that I want to see our endeavor produce 5,000 additional voters to come out and vote. 5,000 speaks a lot. All right, let's see. Next page. I've got, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more pages. All right, I'm just joking. Anyway, this is again this is an information drive. This is not a partisan campaign. I want to be very clear with that. Our purpose is to give voters practical information, equal access to candidate answers, and complete freedom to decide for themselves. Now, we're not going to be here to tell an employee or member or voter how to vote. That's very important. No employer should pressure an employee or ask anyone if they intend to vote, or require proof of voting, or track whether they voted and who they voted for. There are no incentives, endorsements, oppositions, ratings, rankings, and scores. The former past chairwoman, Christine Boletto, said, "Oh, you mean I can't give free phones if you go out and vote?" I said, no, really, hold back. But, hear that, Mark? You finance the phones? What we want to do is we want to prepare, compare, and then vote. Then hold our leaders accountable for what they promised. Next slide. We're going to be flying through this now. Members can turn good information into public value. Just understand the issues. Read the approved guidelines here. I mean, I think it's very clear here, the different priorities and the basic questions that we want to ask. And we should be asking all our leaders. Second, participate. Get involved. Start talking to your folks. Third, follow through. And then we will prepare, the Chamber intends to post all the responses to our forums, both senatorial and gubernatorial, online, so that you can then compare the responses. And after election day, use that public record to track what they promise. All right, final. Let me just close with this, because I believe, and I've said this many times, that Guam has an extraordinary opportunity in front of us. But that opportunity is not the same as prosperity. Prosperity is what remains. What remains, hopefully, good jobs, stronger families, affordable living, capable local businesses, and a government that delivers. We should always welcome the build-up, rebuild tourism, help small businesses form and grow, retain anchor employers, and make it possible for young people to build careers and families here. We should reject the politics that turns employers, employees, or public servants into villains. And that's a message I think we need to make it very loud and clear. Opportunity is not prosperity, as I mentioned. Prosperity is what remains after the boom. Prosperity must outlast the boom, and this is the message we're trying to get out there. So the message also is, we can't do it alone, the 12 associations can't do it alone, the voters have to decide who we in the private sector can work with the government to be able to build Guam. So the word is, let us build it together. Viva Guam! That's it. Si Dios no si thank you. And my name is Ed Antalana, and I approve this message. All right, thank you.
Do we have any questions for the chairman? Any questions for the chairman? Yes?
Can we get you to send a copy of that speech to all the members, please? That was excellent.
Thank you. We did, we recorded it, so we're going to put it out to the membership. Thank you.
We'll put in DVDs, and so we'll be able to sell them. For you, Phil, we'll give you a discount.
The autograph is excellent.
Even more.
So Liz, yes.
Send it to all the candidates so that they can see.
Send it to all the candidates. Thank you, Liz. And then, yes, sir.
Thank you for that, Ed. That was really nice. I wanted to share with you that, do we know how many members of the chamber are running on any of these, in this election?
All I know is that I think we have one member from the Guam Chamber running for this election. Are you talking member?
Yes,
Yeah,
of the chamber.
we only know of one.
And who would that be?
Dr. Wynn. Where's Dr. Wynn?
Oh, so, I
Oh,
wanted to share.
you're running too.
Oh!
Okay.
So I wanted to invite everyone in here to understand that at any moment that you want to ask somebody for something, I'm right here, right now. Dr. Wen is saving lives, so let's give him that kudos. I'd like to also talk about what we do as a nonprofit, because a lot of times when you look at us, you're thinking that we're not a partner of the chamber, but we are. And the reason we are is because there's a branch in the federal government that sends money here to the tune of $13 million a month that our nonprofit has been bringing in. And we ask each and every one of you to look at that. And when I say that, that should be helping all of us in this room, because that brings money into all of our pockets. So if we can do that, that would be helpful. It'll help our veterans, and we'll work together. I sat in a Democrat senatorial meeting, and I was a little bit embarrassed. When I sat in there, they didn't talk about the chamber. And there was a little bit of a hint of what you talked about, that maybe the rich are getting richer to some extent. But I, as a member, didn't think that that was what it was. I seem to think the same way we all should be looking at this. For those of you that grew up here on Guam, we know that when times are tough, we have to come together and work together. And that's exactly the message that you're pushing out. So I think that we should continue to do that. And for those of you that don't know me, since our good, fine chairman up there missed, my name is Anthony Wayne Cruz Tyron, and I approve this message.
All right, thank you.
I'm here to help everyone in this chamber. So you're welcome to come see me, and I'll take care of you. And I'm pushing for everything that the chamber is pushing for. So don't forget that, guys. Thank you.
All right. I like those type of questions. Thank you, Anthony. Any other true or false questions? All right, I'm turning it back to Ms. Cat. Thank you, everyone, for all you do.
All right, thank you very much. We have pamphlets available as you walk out the door, so if you're and then we also have the digital version, so make sure you check your email as you open your emails when you get back to the office. Otherwise, let's call it a day. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. We have